He's the author of Beach Money. He's your good friend, Mr. Jordan Adler.
Thank you. All right. All right. You guys having fun? Yeah. Well, some of you may be like me. I was a little stressed out in the back of the room. I don't buy leads. I don't have a squeeze page, never have. I don't do internet marketing. I don't sell programs. I have nothing to sell, actually. I don't make videos. I'm not saying it's bad, it's just I don't do it. I don't get paid to speak. I don't mass recruit. The only thing I know about traffic is that I'm not in it most of the time. And 100% of the profits from my book, Beach Money, goes to charity. And I make 100% of the money that I earn through network marketing, through my company. That's how I make my money. Now, there's nothing wrong with what was up here earlier today and yesterday. I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you how I do it, okay? What's the best form of advertising? Or what's the best form of marketing? Is it advertising? What's the best form of marketing? Is it internet marketing? What's the best form of marketing? Is it postcard marketing? What is it? We all know that. It's word of mouth advertising. You know what? That's how it was 100 years ago. That's how it was 500 years ago. That's how it was 2,000 years ago. And that's how it is today. The best form of marketing is word of mouth marketing. The other ways of doing it are not bad. I'm just telling you how I built my business. But I do want to say this. I believe, and this is just my beliefs, that if you purchased a program here and you don't implement that fundamental, that word of mouth marketing is the most powerful form of marketing, your business will fall apart as fast as you build it. If you build a business just on the internet without the intention of talking with the people and developing a connection with those people, your business will have no heart. I'm not going to have time to do it, but I could actually tell you story after story after story of people that built on the internet whose businesses are gone couple, 3 years later. There's no sustainability. So Beach Money's not for sale. I don't want your contact information. I'm not going to add you to my autoresponder because I don't have one. And you're not a prospect. Beach Money is free to those that attended this event. So when we're done here from now until I think I have enough for everybody. But if you don't get one, just let me know and we'll get you one. But I've got a bunch of audiobooks and the copies of the books in the back. And you can just go back and pick one up from Megan. Where's Megan? Megan, can you stand up? That's Megan, my business manager and personal assistant. So please, if you've got a Beach Money book, you can pick up the audio from Megan. And if you've got the audio, pick up the book. But please only take one of either one of those. What is network marketing? This is the way I view network marketing. I think this is how it was designed. It's designed as a part-time business. Network marketing is designed to create a part-time income for a period of time till you can eventually replace your full-time income, whatever that is. It allows you to create a residual income that will eventually grow to meet your bills. It's you sponsoring a few people who sponsor a few people who sponsor a few people who each get a few customers, and combined there's volume that's created, and that's where your residual comes from. It's not about mass recruiting. Mass recruiting is not a good thing unless you have a way to build relationships with those people. And I'm not talking about an autoresponder. I have liked to apply, and you guys, you don't mind it if I don't sugarcoat here, do you? I'm just telling you how I do it. I'm not judging anyone else. I do know this. I could buy every one of those programs and I could listen to them and I would have a lot to learn from every single one of them. I can tell you that right now. I would learn a lot because most of that stuff I don't know. But the message I want to get across is that if you never bought one of those programs, you can still build a successful business because it's about a few who get a few who get a few. The 8-year-old test. If an 8-year-old can't do it and an 8-year-old can't teach it, I wouldn't do it. If you do it, it may be good for you, but it's not sustainable for the long term in terms of creating residual income, in my belief. There's this guy that I knew I met him when he had about 30,000 people in his organization. He grew a business of 2.5 million people. I watched him give the same speech for 13 years, the same 1-hour speech. His name was Steve Smith. And Steve stuttered, still does. He talks slowly, talks real slow. He's a Texan. He's a great guy. 2.5 million people. I've watched him in front of 10 people. I've watched him in front of 100, and I've watched him in front of tens of thousands of people at conventions giving the same 1-hour speech. And it was about not quitting, and it was about sending in a form with a couple of customers, and the company sends you $100 back. And I watched him build a group from 30,000 to 2.5 million, and I thought, you know what? I like his simplicity. It's not heavy. It's easy for people to get. People go, I can do that. And if they communicate the same message and someone else says, I can do that, your business grows. Typically what I've found, and there's very few examples that I've seen that really prove this different. But typically what I've found is things that grow really, really fast die young. Look at I'm not going to give a lot of examples, but the eucalyptus tree and an oak tree. Eucalyptus trees grow very, very rapidly. They're very inexpensive. They have a very shallow root system. They turn green really fast. People that, if you want to impress somebody, sponsor a lot of people real fast. You'll get a really fat check. But your organization will be very brittle because it grew fast. Nothing wrong with fast growth as long as you're able to build the roots. The taproot that goes hundreds of feet into the ground. An oak tree grows very slowly, but it's around for years. In fact, they live forever. Eucalyptus trees die very young. Oak trees have a taproot that goes hundreds of feet into the ground. It draws the nutrients in the water from deep under the ground. And it turns green, but it takes much longer. But it's rock solid and it lives forever. That's the eucalyptus, that's the oak tree. Things that grow fast die young. Populations of insects grow really fast. They're only around for a couple days, they're gone. The Great Dane is the fastest growing dog. It only lives for 5-6 years. Things that grow fast typically die young. So just be aware of that you must build roots in your organization. I'm not going to get into too many case studies right now, but if you look at the companies, with very few exceptions that are $1 billion to $10 billion companies, they build through warm market. It's meeting new people and developing a relationship with those people. Word of mouth, social events, and meetings. I like to do it through fun. I like to do those things and have fun. And that's lifestyle marketing. That's how I've built my business. I don't have a lot of ways to build a business. I don't believe the answer will be found in the how-to. Here's proof. And I'm not going to ask any of you to raise your hand, but I will say this, that most of the people that have been around network marketing for 10 years, that stayed in it for 10 years, most of them aren't making money. And they've been to seminar. I was one of them. They've been to seminar after seminar after seminar. They've bought the programs, they've listened to them, and all those programs teach them how to build the business. And they're still not making money. Let's say I was the best bicycle trainer in the world. I'm the #1 bicycle trainer in the world, and you guys all want to learn to ride a bicycle, and you've never ridden before. And I have the best bicycle rider in the world with me, Lance Armstrong, and we bring you into the classroom, and I train you on how to ride a bicycle for the next 8 hours with Lance, giving real-life examples. And we have the best PowerPoints and the best videos, and afterwards we go out into the parking lot, and I say, now we're all going to ride. You've never ridden before. What's going to happen to all of you? You're all going to fall. Now, as long as you don't quit, some of you will get it in 5 minutes, some of you get it in a week, but all of you will be able to ride. The moment you get something, and it starts with a B, what is it? Balance. But the only way you can get balance is to do what? Get on the bicycle. What's that? Right. Get on the bicycle and ride it. That's how you're going to get balance. It can't be taught in a classroom. And it's the same in your network marketing business. Until you actually do it, you're not going to ever get it. I mean, really do it. Like dive in and do it. No program's going to give it to you, no training. Most people can learn everything they need to learn in a matter of a few hours to build a successful business. I've seen people that have no skills build a successful network marketing business. You know what else I love about what's been going on here today, the past couple of days? Is I've got people in my organization that are really good at that stuff. I'm not into it. I'm not interested in it. But they're in my organization, and they are. And if you're into it, great. You may be somebody that wants to do it. But you know what? You get to benefit because there's lots of different ways to build a business. You get to benefit. When you build a big organization, when your organization has 10 or 20 or 50 or 100,000 people in it, there will be people in your downline that will do it completely different than you. You'll never get them to do it your way, but you get to benefit from what they do. And that's the beauty of what we're doing. So I decided recently, it's a long story, I won't go into it, but I decided recently that I wanted to try and do something that I consider to be impossible for me. I just decided I was going to take on a challenge that I believed to be impossible for me. And I decided to fly helicopters. I decided to learn how to fly a helicopter. And so I've done 17 hours. The first 15 hours of flying was I flew to Atlanta with 2 guys. We picked up a helicopter in Atlanta, and last week we flew over 9 states at 500 to 1,000 feet, and I held the controls and flew the helicopter for 15 hours of it. We stopped. No, thank you. But we stopped in different places. Well, day before yesterday in Las Vegas, I hovered for the first time. Now, here's what, this is the hardest thing. Honestly, this is the hardest thing I've ever had to do. So we're hovering at 3 feet above the ground, and my flight instructor is 23 years old. His name's Travis, and he looks like Garth from Wayne's World. And he even wears the same glasses. I'm holding the cyclic, and he said, if you can keep it within, as soon as I let go, he says, when you're holding the cyclic, if you can keep it within a football field, I'll buy you a pizza. That's what he said. And I'm telling you, I took that control, and I was like, we were all, and he grabbed it, and like a split second, it's like this. And you know what he said after we did it 4 or 5 times, and I couldn't get it? He said, I can't teach you how to do it. I can't teach you how to do it. You just got to keep doing it until you get it, and once you get it, it'll be like riding a bicycle. That's how network marketing is. That's how network marketing is. So and I'll share with you how I got it and when I got it. There's nobody that will be able to teach it to you until you do it and you'll get it. And when you get it, you got it for the rest of your life. You can do it with any company. The power of one more. This is network marketing, guys. This is network marketing. You get 3. In a perfect world, we get 3, who get 3, who get 3, who get 3. And then I know there's binary programs and there's different types of hybrid programs, but we're just going to use this as an example because it applies to all the programs. 3 who get 3, who get 3, who get 3 would put 2,187 on your 7th generation. If your first level are your kids, your second level is your second kids, your grandkids, your third level, your great-grandkids, 4th level, 5th level, 6th level, 7th generation, you'd have 2,187 people on your 7th generation. That's if everyone got 3. If everyone got 4, in other words, if everyone got 1 more, see, in the job world, we play the game of addition, where the difference between 4 and 3 is what? 1. In the network marketing world, we play the game of multiplication. The difference between 3 and 4 is not 1. The difference between 3 and 4, and it's not going to come up on the screen, you'll just have to write it if you want to, but 4 who get 4, who get 4, who get 4 on the 7th generation is 16,000. That's if everybody just gets 1 more. If everybody gets 5, everybody goes out and just sponsors 5 people, everybody gets 5? The difference between 5 and 3 in the job world is 2, but in our world, the difference between 5 and 3 is not 2. The difference between 5 and 3 is 74,000 plus people because it's 78,000 people on your 7th generation. If everybody just gets 1 more, 5. Remember, this business, network marketing, is about you getting a few, who get a few, who get a few, who each get some customers. Now, in the real world, it doesn't work like this, does it? How many of you have sponsored 5 people and have 78,000 down on your 7th generation? No. But what if you didn't sponsor 3 or 4 or 5? What if you sponsored 2 a month for 2 years, working part-time? 2 a month. Not 20 a day, 2 a month for 5 years, working part-time. What are the chances of creating the equivalent of a 3x3, which would produce a pretty decent income for you? So in 1981, I was sleeping on the floor of the Urban Cowboy couple on the left there. That couple right there, I was sleeping on their floor for 2 years. And it doesn't seem like every person that's ever been successful has a story like this. They were in their car, sleeping in their car. They're sleeping on their wife's parents' floor, whatever. Well, I moved to Arizona with a guitar, a suitcase, and $250. David was a friend of my ex-girlfriend, and I slept on the floor I had a pillow and a blanket. I didn't even have a mattress. I couldn't afford a bed. He actually financed my first bed. It was a water bed. was $400, and the guy there with the cowboy hat on financed my first bed. I signed up with companies. I was an entrepreneur in my heart. I grew up in a non-entrepreneurial family. I worked jobs. I was making, at the time, I was getting involved in network marketing companies. I was making about $20,000 a year with different jobs. Got a degree in landscape architecture. I was in Dr. Hill's Potentized Spirulina. I was in Nishika 3D cameras, Amway twice. I was in Equinox and prepaid legal. I'm still a customer 29 years later. I'm still a customer of prepaid legal. Yeah. 10 years in network marketing, read every book that I could get my hands on, total income earned, zero amount of money spent, probably $30,000, and every one of them I thought there was something wrong with the program or there was something wrong with the market. I didn't figure out for a while that really the problem was me, because I was the only common denominator in all the programs. I was living in Tempe, Arizona, right on the Arizona State University campus, in that little box on the left there. That was a $200 a month apartment in a house, and drove a 1987 beat-up old Jeep Wrangler. And I was 34 years old. My job at the airline was paying me about $14,000 a year, working at America West Airlines. Oh, by the way, I'm shortcutting the story because I want to get into the content of my talk here, but these are the actual credit cards. Back then, some of you will remember this, if you had one credit card that had a $400 limit and you paid your bill on time, what would they do? They'd send you applications for more, and I'd fill them out. And I started getting credit cards in the mail, lots of them. And I started using those to get into all these different network marketing programs. And I built up, and then when the airline cut my pay from $28,000 a year down to $14,000 a year, I was using my credit cards. In fact, I knew Steve Stapp at that time. Steve knew me through all of this, right, Steve? Through every bit of what I'm telling you. He knew me through all of it. We worked together at the airline. These credit cards I had, and I racked up $36,000 in debt on these credit cards. My accountant told me, by the way, my accountant's in Vegas right now. He texted me. My accountant told me that I had to file bankruptcy or figure out a way to make an extra $1,000 a month. I got involved with my 12th network marketing company around that time. My 10 years, 11 companies, my 12th network marketing company at that time. I was living in, okay, I'm going to go back. That little box, if you were to walk into that apartment on the left-hand side through that window, if you were to have looked on the wall off to the left, right above my bed, you would have seen a graphic that looked like this. I took a big, fat black magic marker and I drew a grid on my wall, a 3-foot by 4-foot grid, and I put 100 squares, 10 by 10. And I was told by a guy who became my mentor, we never went into business together, but he said if I would go out and show my business 100 times, I would become financially independent. That's what he told me. And I decided I was going to show the business 3 times a week at Coffee Plantation there on the right side there, which was right downstairs in my office at America West Airlines. I was going to go down there 3 days a week. I didn't have any money. I didn't have money to buy. There was no leads. There was no internet. I didn't even have a cell phone. There was no internet back then, just yellow pads. And I sat at that coffee plantation, and 3 times a week I would draw out the plan. And I took my black magic marker, and on the wall I would write the date that I showed the plan. My goal was to show the plan 3 times a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Now some of you are thinking in your mind, well, that sounds really old school. It's traditional, and I will tell you this, it works today the same way as it worked back then. It works as effectively. In fact, the $2 to $10 billion network marketing companies, most of them still do it this way. There's videos and things like that, and I use the videos, and I use video Skype, but the process is the same. It's presenting a very simple opportunity one-on-one to somebody and teaching them how to get started and helping them get started and then teaching them how to do the same thing. So I did this. Now imagine this, you guys. I was single at the time. I'd meet a girl and like her. I wasn't having fun at my job, so I wrote "have fun" at the top to remind me every night when I came home from work. I needed 20 customers to qualify, so in the upper right hand of the chart, I wrote "find 20" right above my bed. Every time I would share my business, I'd write a date, and I had to hold myself accountable to 3 presentations a week. So I put the dates in there, 9/21, 9/23, 9/25, and I did that. And then I met a girl, and oh, by the way, ED down on the bottom right, that was executive director, which was our top position in the company at the time. If I became an executive director, I'd be making bank $10,000 a month, right? And so I had this above my bed, and I met a girl and liked her, true story, and I invited her to the house, and at one point I gave her a tour of the rental, the kitchen, the bathroom, and here's the bedroom, and she looks over the bed and she sees this grid that says, have fun, find 20. And then, of course, she wants to know who's Ed down there at the bottom. My 12th company, I signed, now listen to these numbers, guys, because these are important. My 12th company, I sponsored 129 people in 13 years. That's 144 months. And my business grew to 85,000 distributors, and I earned $8 million in that company. That's from 129 people, which if you figure it out, it comes out to less than one person per month. Here's a statistic for you. Over 95% of my income came from 5 of those 129 people. And I'll challenge you to talk to people that have built large, successful, sustaining network marketing companies where they have an ongoing long-term residual income. Ask them, how many people have you personally signed up, and how many of those people does 90% of your business come from? You will find out that it's typically about 1 out of 30. So if you sign up 130 people, you're going to have 1 out of 30 of those that are going to be responsible for 95 to 98% of your income. So less than one distributor a month for 13 years. Jackie was my 16th distributor. Some of you know Jackie Ulmer. She'd never done network marketing before. She signed up some people who signed up some people. Our group grew to 12,000 people and 40,000 customers and made me my first million. Now, don't yell it out. Eric's probably getting nervous, like when's he going to start talking about cold market lifestyle? I'm doing that in a minute here. So I thought I could get through the story a little faster. Raise your hand if you know who that is. Just raise your hand. Okay, just about 5 of you. You all probably know who he is. Most of you do. This guy is the guy that in San Diego took those people up to the Hale-Bopp Comet to meet Jesus. Remember that? This is a sick example. I'm going to tell you right now, this is in poor taste. What I'm going to tell you right now is in poor taste, but it works. If that guy could get 36 people to do that, you certainly can get 36 people to do network marketing. This is very simple. Word of the mouth is the most powerful. You can get to anyone. You can meet anyone you want, anyone. If you write down who you want to meet, and meet them through your network. The most powerful asset you have is your network. It's important to meet and know a lot of people, but it's not as important as the relationships you build with the people that you do know. You always want to be expanding your list. By the way, Kathy Ireland's a lot taller than me, isn't she? Your ultimate goal. By the way, these answers are not going to pop up on your screen, so you'll have to write them down if you want them. You want to expand your list and get to know the people in it. You want to know as much as possible about those people, not just business-wise, but personally, and you want them to know what you do, and that you want them to get to know you. It's almost cliche in our business to say this, but I've got to say it. Number one, they must what? They must like and trust you. As simple as that is, most people operate their businesses in a way that will not allow people to like and trust them. If you go for the throat, whether it's from a lead or from Facebook or from someone you know, they're not going to like and trust you. They must know what you do. That's number 2. They must know what you do. Number 3, they must remember you. You got to do things that are going to allow people to remember you. If you talk to them one time, I'm going to tell you right now, most of my business from both companies, most of my distributors and customers came as a result of people that didn't sign up with me right away. And if you talk to them one time and you don't have a way to stay in touch with those people, they're going to go away. And they'll go with someone else when the timing is right. Most of the people don't sign up with you or are negative typically because the timing's not right. And most of the time they don't tell you the reason why they're not signing up with you. And number 4, probably the most important, is they must know that you what about them? Thank you. They must know that you care about them. So I was on the phone with a guy named Ray, who I signed up in the business. And Ray, I was getting ready to leave on a 2-week trip, and I didn't have time to train him. And so I said, Ray, the only thing I want you to do is I want you to make a list of 100 people, which he said he could do. I want you to write down 100 people that know who you are. He said he could do that. He said, the only thing I want you to do is to call each one of them and tell them that you were thinking about them and you were just calling to say hi. He goes, wow, that sounds a little weird. And I said, Ray, seriously, that's the reason why you're not successful. Seriously, because he was struggling. He's been struggling for years. He's in his late 40s. You've got to have and I don't know how many of you do this, but I keep a journal with me, and this journal right here, this is the actual journal right here. I've got, I don't even know how many of these, 30, 40, 50 of them. And whenever somebody's name pops into my head, there's a reason it popped into my head, I write their name down. And that's my prompting to call somebody and tell them I'm thinking about them and just to say hi, to see how they're doing. A lot of times I don't get them, I just leave a quick message. Every day I call 3 to 5 people just to check in. Some days I don't because I'm on an airplane or something, but they're in my list, and while I'm driving, I'm going to be calling them on my hands-free. And I'll tell you what, if you do that without an agenda, if you continue to add people to your list through the people that you meet, and you show that you care about people, it will be very easy for you to approach people about the business. The glue that will make your income stick are the friendships that you build along the way. If you don't have those friendships in your organization will have no heart. Harvey Mackay in his book, how many have read Swim with the Sharks Without Getting Eaten Alive? You know what? The principles still apply. We don't use these things anymore, but the principles still apply. You can predict the future of someone's income by looking at the size of their Rolodex, but it's not just the size of the Rolodex, it's the quality of the relationships that you have with those people. So I restarted in 2004. I'm not going to get into the gory details, but 90% of the people that I've sponsored in my current company, I did not know when I joined my company. Did not know them. I've personally sponsored 230 people in 7 years, which comes out to about 3 per month, not mass recruiting. Gives me enough people that I have people to work with, but not so many people that I have to leave people in the dust. My organization has about 60,000 people and 230,000 customers. I started from scratch. Earned $8 million since 2004 without running a single ad, doing a single cold call, or buying a single lead, and I signed up as a distributor just like everyone else. I did not get a deal. I'm not the master distributor. There's other legs in our organization. So number 1, key formula, really important. You got to have fun. If you don't enjoy it, it's not, no matter how good you are at it, it's not going to be sustainable. You got to have fun. Number 2, you want to involve other people in your fun. You want to involve other people in the fun you're having. And number 3, show others how you fund your fun. F-U-N-D, fund. Show others how you fund your fun. My talk is about lifestyle marketing. See, what I do is I put myself in situations where I meet new people. In my back pocket here, these are some of the business. Now, how many of you have a business card? Raise your hand. Now look at this. In a technology world, how many of you don't have a business card? Raise your hand. Do you guys, is it that you don't use them or that you just haven't ordered them yet? Do you guys use them or no? No? Okay, most business owners today, most entrepreneurs today, if they have a business, they print a business card. Why do they print business cards? Because they want to give them away. In fact, if you ask somebody for their business card, they'll give you 3. They can't wait to give you their business card. That's why people print business cards. So I put myself in situations where I'm going to meet people that have business cards. That's what I do. That's some of what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. But that's what I do, and these people all become friends first, and I don't even call them prospects, I call them potential distributors. Because a prospect is someone you go after. Anyway, I won't get into that. But so what you want to do is you want to look for ways to have fun with the people that are in your life. And people want to hang around other people that have fun. Number 1, shop for your dreams. That's the helicopter, by the way, that we flew across the country. Number 1, shop for your dreams. Now, how many of you have things that you want to purchase or do in your life that you're not in a position to do right now that you plan on doing in the next 5 years? Raise your hand. You do, right? In fact, yell some of them out. What's one thing you want to do in the next, just yell something out. Get married. Get married, buy a car. Go to the beach. Costa Rica. Machu Picchu. What? Buy a plane. Buy a new house. Okay, good. So you all have things that you want to do, right, in the next 5 years that you don't feel like you're in a position to do right now. True? All right, I'm going to tell you right now a way that you can have unlimited, overnight, like right away, in a way that you'll build relationships with people. You'll have unlimited people to talk to. The biggest question, number one question I get and the top leaders get is, where do I find people? Come on, really? Where do I find people? But all of you have things. Write down 5 things you want to do in the next 5 years and go shop for them now. Go shop and talk to lots of people. Like if you're going to get married in the next 5 years, go meet with some wedding planners. Grab some wedding planner cards. If you plan on upgrading your home or remodeling your kitchen, let's say you're remodeling your kitchen, meet with some interior designers. Let them know you're going to be remodeling your kitchen. This is lifestyle marketing. Let them know you're going to be remodeling your kitchen and you just want to get an idea of what it's going to cost and maybe get some ideas from them. And you're shopping right now. Let them know you're shopping. Get their business card. If you're planning on taking a trip and you might need to talk to a couple travel agents. I found out that whatever product you represent or whatever company you represent, every industry has people in it that are hurting financially and a few that are very, very successful. So it doesn't matter whose card you have, there's a good percentage of those people that are looking for something that they can do part-time. There's a good percentage of them. And if it's a good fit, regardless of where you got their contact, but you're building a relationship with new people. So write down 5 things you want to do and then figure out, what am I going to have to do? Who am I going to have to meet in order to accomplish those things? And you know what you're going to find out by doing it? You'll accomplish the things that you want faster. So I wasn't sure about flying a helicopter, so guess what I did? I went and I took a discovery flight. And I met a pilot, and I met the owner of the school, and I met his wife. And guess who I signed up in the business last week? The owner of the school. Brian just signed up. Now his wife is really excited. She uses the product and he's excited about building the business. But that's because I went in and I pursued my dreams. So number 1, shop for your dreams. Number 2, take trips. You know, you might be able, right now you might only be able to take 1 trip a year, or maybe you can figure out how to take 2 or 3 trips a year, but meet people on those trips. That's lifestyle marketing. People are going to ask you what you do when you meet people. When you go on a little tour, you usually meet 5 or 6 people on the tour, don't you? They're going to ask you what you do. Don't throw up on them, but give them a little bit, just a little bit, and then ask them what they do. Number 3, attend leisure events that interest you. Find things that interest you and attend those things. Number 4, have parties and dinners with your distributors and invite guests. When I was getting started in network marketing, my first successful company and this one, and I still do it today, because I'm on an airplane, I'm traveling a lot, and I'm never, very rarely am I in the same city for very long, in one city for very long. I've got a lot of friends in Phoenix over the years. I spent many years in Phoenix, and I don't see them very often. So what I do is I'll schedule a dinner at a Mexican restaurant. Now, I don't do it with the intention of recruiting, but I always invite guests, and I have them bring guests, and some of them are distributors, and we're not even there to do a presentation. We just all get together. When you put a group of distributors in a room with a bunch of guests, even if you're not there to talk about the business, guess what happens? The business comes up. And they don't feel cornered because you're not there about business, and you let them know we're not here for business. But people ask questions, and the next thing you know, you're talking about it. So I do this, a Mexican restaurant, it costs me $12 for a meal, and I'll have 20, 30 people there. And if I sponsor 1 distributor, I pay for the whole thing. And you know, I don't even do it for that reason. Sometimes I sign up 2 or 3 or 4 people. But it's fun. And I see my friends that I don't get to see very often. And it helps to anchor those relationships. So look for those opportunities. What do I say to people? That's the second most common question that comes up, by far. What do I say to people? Well, here's what I found out. Number 1, focus on getting to know them. So it's not about what you're going to present to them. It's about asking them questions to get to know them. Find out what they like to do. Find out how long they've lived in the city they're in. Find out how long they've been doing their work. How did you get into interior design? Oh, what else do you do besides interior design? Learn about them. Number 2, I have found that you can say just about anything to someone if you have a good relationship with them. You can say just about anything to someone if you have a good relationship with them. And number 3, and I'll talk about this a little bit more, is right here I want you to write in, come here, I want to show you something. And I'm going to tell you a little story. I have found out that when I have a good relationship with someone and I've got rapport with them, I can call them on the phone and I can say, I want to talk to you about something, and what are they going to say? Because I have rapport. Steve, if I called you on the phone and I said, Steve, I'd like to run something by you, what are you going to say? Absolutely. What do you got? Jules, if I were to call you on the phone and say, hey, Jules, I want to run something by you, what are you going to say? Sure, what do you got? I don't get people that say, well, is this a pyramid, or what is it now, or, I don't. And keep in mind, I was in 10 companies in 11 years and never signed up a single person. But I will tell you this. If you truly care about people and you show them you care because you're generous and you're not always calling them to get something from them, you're calling them sometimes just to say hi, and you treat them with respect and you have rapport, when you call them and say, I have something I want to talk to you about, they'll say, what do you got? That's what I found out. It's absolutely true. So I got to tell you a story. So I have a place at the Mandarin Oriental. And Eric, I don't have a timer up here. How am I doing on time? Okay. So I'm at the Mandarin Oriental. Now, I wasn't sure about this whole thing, but I got a call from my accountant. And I was living in Arizona, and he said, Jordan, do you want to have a free place in Vegas? And I said, yeah, it sounds cool to have a free place in Vegas. He said, do this. Go to Vegas, hire a realtor to take you around and look at condos. He said, if you make Nevada your primary residence, that you won't have to pay anything because your state tax savings, there's no state tax in Nevada, your state tax savings will pay for your place, your lifestyle in Vegas. Just have another place. I said, that sounds really cool. So I hired a guy who I know. He took me and showed me 20 condos, and I found one at the Mandarin Oriental that blew my mind. I love it. And I called my accountant back, and he said, yeah, it'll work. And I said, you sure? And he said, yeah. And so I went ahead and I did a lease option on the place, a 4-year lease option on this place. And it's spectacular. I love it. I had to get my car registered here. I had to get my driver's license, and I had to get my voter's registration. But I didn't change anything. I just have a place here that can come, and I'm spending time here. So I unplugged and threw away my TV sets for 25 years. When I got into network marketing, I decided that TV was not important as my financial future. And I attribute today the fact that I didn't have a TV for 25 years, I attribute much of my success to the fact that I focused on my personal development and not on watching TV. And for 25 years, you could go into any one of the little rentals I ever lived in, there was never a TV there. Now, I wanted to get a TV for my Vegas pad, just a flat screen on the wall. And I decided I don't watch TV, but I'll put one in the bedroom, one in the living room, and I said I want 52-inch or whatever, 52-inch or 54-inch flat screen, basic, like I want to spend $1,500 in the living room and $1,500 in the bedroom. And I'm not going to go into the whole story, but I'll tell you one part of the story. So I go to Best Buy. And the guy walks over to me, and he goes, come here. I said, well, I just want a $1,500 52-inch flat screen for... And he goes, no, just come here for a sec. So I follow him because he goes, come here. Because when people go like this and go, come here, guess what you do? You follow them. That's what they do. When you go like this and go, come here, they follow you. In fact, a couple nights ago, we were walking through the casino. We've been with a big group of people, and we're all walking, and I'm in front of all of them. And I go, you guys know where you're going? And they go, no, we don't know where we're going. I go, because I'm out front. And they go, do you know where you're going? I go, no, I don't know why are you following me? I have no idea where I'm going. They said, because you looked like you knew where you were going. There's a real strong message in that. People will follow you if you look like you know where you're going. And then all of a sudden your income will go up. That's kind of how it works. So I go into Best Buy, the guy goes, come here, and I follow him. And he hands me, Shrek 3D is playing, and he hands me these glasses, and I put them on, and it's like, and it was like better than any movie theater I've ever seen. I said, how much? He said, $6,000. It's like, I just bought a $6,000 TV. My first TV is a $6,000 TV. And that's all he did was says, come here, he put these on. He showed me. He showed me. Now, for every 50 people that walk in that he does that with, he might sell 2 or 3 TVs, but he wouldn't sell any unless he went, come here, and he showed me. That's what we do in our business. We show people. So when I meet somebody and I get their business card through my lifestyle marketing and I want to show them my business, what do I say? I build rapport. I call them on the phone. I say, I want to show you something, and I show them a video. And they say, sure, because I got rapport with them. And I'm generous. I look for reasons to be generous with people. Making the connection real fast. Some of this stuff you've heard before. Use their name. Use it multiple times. Ask them questions. Look them in the eyes when talking to them. Compliment them. Acknowledge them. Look for commonality. As you're asking questions, look for things that you have in common that you can talk about. And then not most importantly, but very, very important, don't be a stranger. Stay in touch. How many of you guys want to give yourself a major competitive advantage in this business? Raise your hand. Here's how you give yourself a major competitive advantage. Stay in touch with people. Because 99% of the people that talk to someone about their business will never talk to them again and never stay in touch with them. If you want to sponsor more people than everyone else, just stay in touch with the people you know, people you meet. Told you about going to Mexican food with friends, shopping for real estate in Jerome. These are places that lifestyle, shopping for a car, attending events, seminars. I've sponsored probably, of the 230 plus people that I've sponsored, what? Oh, am I in the way? Oh, I invite, want me to talk more about them? The slide before? That one. That one right there. That one? Okay, I went too fast through that. Use their name. Ask them questions about them. Look in their eyes when you talk to them. You know, as simple as that is, and we all know it, in the United States, we don't look people in the eye. When I was over in Holland, if you don't look someone in the eye when you talk to them, they will not do business with you. In the United States, we look people in the eye for about 2 seconds and then we look away. People will like you and trust you more if you look at them in the eye when you talk to them. Acknowledge them, look for commonalities, and don't be a stranger. Stay in touch. Just some general principles for making those connections. Real life success stories, attend events that you're interested in. When you go to seminars, do your best to meet people. And then also work in public and display your products. Just have them out. You don't need to do it you don't have to set up a display, but if you're in a Starbucks or something like that and you're working with your computer, just lay some things out on the table. You'll be surprised. I've sponsored probably 15 people from Tony Robbins events over the years that I just met at the events. I've sponsored at least 5 people just working in public. A couple of them were on a cruise ship. So I actually sponsored people on a cruise ship because I was sitting with my computer at the internet cafe on the cruise ship, and I struck up a conversation. I said, come here, I want to show you something. I struck up a conversation. Come here, I want to show you something. And we engaged in a conversation, and I signed up 2 people on cruise ships doing that. Last thing. Is this for me? Thank you. Bless you. All right, so I used to be in corporate America for the airline, as I mentioned. I was in management, and we used to do an exercise. What we would do is we would have the group would watch, but there would be 5 people in the perimeter of the room. So picture this room. This is a large room for it, but picture 5 people around the perimeter of the room and 1 person in the middle. And that 1 person in the middle has a belt. And there's a yellow rope going from that belt extending out to the 5 people that are out on the perimeter. So the person in the middle has the belt on. There's a yellow rope. Now, the person in the middle of the room is blindfolded. The people on the perimeter of the room, they're not blindfolded. What we do is we took a $100 bill and we set the $100 bill on the floor, and we said the only rule is that you can't verbally communicate with each other. Now, what's the only rule? You can't verbally communicate with each other. The goal is for the person in the middle who's blindfolded to get to the $100 bill. So some of the people along the perimeters let out some rope. Some people pull in the rope, and they guide that person to over the $100 bill. And when that person's finally over the $100 bill, they reach down and they pick up the $100 bill. Then we change the rules. We blindfold the people around the perimeter, and we unfold the blindfold. We take off the blindfold of the person in the middle of the room. Yellow ropes going from the belt out to the perimeters. Can you all visualize that? Okay. Put another $100 bill down. The person in the middle of the room can see the $100 bill. The people on the perimeter cannot. What's the only rule? Can't verbally communicate. Go. And the people on the perimeters, they can't see anything, right? So they're tugging on the rope, and the person over here is frustrated because they can't get to the $100 bill, but they can see it. And I stop the session after a couple minutes. I say, what's the only rule? The only rule is you can't verbally communicate. Okay, go. And they get frustrated again. They do it for a few minutes. They still can't get to it. I go, okay, stop. What's the only rule? The only rule is you can't verbally communicate. Okay, go. They still can't do it. And then finally, the person in the middle realizes they can just take off the belt, walk over to the $100 bill and pick it up. So my question for you are, what are your yellow ropes that are keeping you from getting to your goal? They're imaginary. They're not real. Take off the belt. We'll see you guys in the morning. Thanks a lot. Thanks. Thank you. Thanks, buddy.
Welcome to the stage, Mr. Jordan Adler. I'll get him, brother. Thanks. Not a bit.
Some of you are still sleeping this morning because you were out partying last night, right? Las Vegas. But not you. You're all here. Did you have fun last night? Yeah. How can you not have fun in Vegas? I got to thank Eric. One of the beautiful things about our profession is that there's so much amazing training, inspiration, and opportunity to grow and learn in this profession. And there's probably no one in the entire network marketing profession that provides more value basically for free through the interviews, through his website, than Eric Worre. And my team benefits from that. And I want to thank you, Eric. Yeah. I mean, I could do a whole seminar on just how great our profession is. And if people really knew, everyone would be in network marketing if they really knew the value that this profession provides. And the outcome of plugging in is a great residual income. And where else can you work part-time for a few years, grow, learn, be around fun people, and develop a residual income that will set you free financially? I just don't know where else you can get that, but in this profession. Every other thing that provides a residual income is not really a residual income. If you build this business right, you'll end up with beach money. You'll end up with a constant flow of revenue that will come in whether you go to work or not. And that promise is real for our profession if you build it correctly. If it constantly requires your attention, then you'll never have beach money. So before I get into my talk here, where's my clicker? There it is. Before I get into my talk, I want to share with you what I believe is the reason why more people don't make money in network marketing, whether it be $5,000 a month, $10,000, or $100,000 a month or more. If you were to go back into the early 1900s, before 1904, let's say 1901, and you talked to 1,000 people, and you said to 1,000 people, is it possible to fly? What would they all tell you? There's no way. It's not possible to fly. That's fantasy. That's not real. There might be two crazy people that said it's possible to fly, right? Two crazies. But most of them would say, no, it's not possible. Well, there were a few people in the world. Two of them were Orville and Wilbur Wright, that decided that it was possible. And because they believed it was possible with no evidence, they took unbelievable ridicule and risked their lives. If you've ever seen any of the films of them trying to fly, they risked their lives every day trying to fly. But they believed it was possible, and the result of that is today, we walk onto a jumbo jet, and we complain because the air conditioner is too cold. Or we get on our computer and we send emails now from our airline seat. I don't think Orville and Wilbur had that in mind when they invented the airplane. But because they believed it was possible, they took action, and they risked their lives, and they faced ridicule. Now today, in this world, there are millions of people that make $100,000 a month. In the world, millions that make $100,000 a month. Yet if you take a cross-section of the general population and you say, is it possible to make $100,000 a month? Out of 1,000 people, how many would say yes? Maybe. Is it possible? Maybe 10 or maybe 20 out of 1,000 would say it's possible. But until you believe it's possible, you won't do the work. You won't take the ridicule. You're not going to risk your life. But until you believe, so 20 people out of 1,000. Now, if you ask those 20, how many of you believe it's possible for you? I had this conversation with Eric and a group of leaders on a retreat. And we talked about this. Out of 20 people, how many out of 20 would say it's possible for them to make $100,000 a month? 2? So 2 out of 1,000 people in our society, where millions of people have already made $100,000 a month, 2 out of 1,000 believe it's possible, and they're the ones that take the action. And that's why so few people make money in network marketing. Because the majority of 1,000 people don't even believe they can make $5,000 a month in network marketing. That's why. It's pretty simple. And you know what? Orville and Wilbur had no evidence. You do not need evidence. Some of you in this room joined companies where no one had made money before, and you made money. I joined a company where nobody had ever made $10,000 a month in that company, but everybody's looking for evidence. Is anybody making money? Doesn't matter. Orville and Wilbur invented the airplane, and there was no evidence. You don't need evidence. You don't even have to have ever done it before. The only thing you have to do is believe it's possible. That's it. And then go do the work. It's not too bad, is it? What an opportunity that is. So I'm going to talk about leveraging the power of networking groups. I'll start off with a story. So when I joined my last company, and I didn't join it to build it as a business, I was invited to a networking group. I'd never been to a networking group before. I didn't even know what they were. A friend invited me to a networking group. It was BNI, Business Network International. Now, if you've heard of BNI before, and you may already have an opinion about it, or you might already know what it is, I'd like you to, for right now, just set aside what you know BNI to be, because I'm going to expand your vision and help to talk to you about it in a little bit bigger perspective. But BNI is Business Network International. It's the largest privately held networking organization in the world. There's about 4,000 chapters in the world. Ivan Meisner is the founder of that company. They're not network marketing. They're a business networking where everybody gets together and there's one person from each profession that joins. And you have to apply and they have to accept you into the chapter, and it's about $300 a year. Well, I went there. And I was not sure yet whether I was going to build my current company, the company that I'm involved in right now. I wasn't sure if I'm going to build it, but I went there with that in mind. There were 12 people, which was one of the smallest chapters in the entire world of that organization out of the 4,000 chapters in Arizona, Scottsdale, Arizona. And what they did is they went around and everybody introduced themselves, and they got to me, and I was like, what do I do? And I happened to have some of our product with me. It's easy to carry around with me, and so I was sitting there, and when they got to me, I did a 60-second commercial because that's what they asked me to do. I just basically explained what I did, what our company did. And then I passed my product around the room. I just passed it around. I was a guest. Afterwards, I had a couple people come over to me and hand me their business card and say, I want to learn more about that. Well, wow, that's kind of cool. And that's kind of how it started. And I started thinking to myself, and I joined the chapter, and I went back every week. Every single week I was there, and I did my commercial. And within a matter of time, I started signing up people in the chapter, but I also started getting referrals and giving referrals to the others. There was someone that I knew that wanted to have their house painted, and so I referred them to the house painter that was in the group. And there was somebody that I knew that needed a new accountant, and I referred somebody to the accountant in the group. So I started giving to the group opportunities for them to get more business. And I started appreciating them as well, and I started getting referrals. And before I knew it, half the group was using my product. And then over a period of months, all the group was using my product because they trusted me, and I talked about the product every week. It was like it was a business presentation. I didn't talk about my opportunity, but it was a business presentation where I could talk about the product, and they wanted to hear about it. And we grew, and we developed relationships. So I started thinking, 4,000 chapters. What if on my weekly conference call, when I started with my company, my weekly conference call had 3 people on it. Today it has thousands of people on it. But what if on my conference call, with those 3 people, I just say, you guys should find a BNI chapter. It's an opportunity to meet some new people and get to know some people and refer some people and help some people. And you might end up with some customers and maybe some distributors. So I started referring them to other chapters of that organization. Within a year, my organization was in 250 BNI chapters. And it was growing like crazy. Today, Eric mentioned $30,000 a month. It's probably around $30,000 a month, but the majority of that money is not coming from the people from BNI. Can anyone tell me why? It started in BNI. So can anybody tell me why, if it's the BNI, the Business Network International, and I was in 250 chapters, and I'm referring my team into those chapters, some of them are signing up for customers, probably from BNI, I might be making $5,000 or $10,000 a month, maybe $5,000 to $8,000 a month. But the people they referred, and the people those people referred, and the organizations today that came out of that, it's not who you know, it's who they know, right? So that's kind of how it started, and I believe that any company, any product, now you've got to be very, very careful, because if you go into a chapter and you start pitching your opportunity, you're going to get kicked out. They do not want you talking about the opportunity, but that doesn't mean if you ask good questions and you meet with people one-on-one afterwards and you find out that that person is looking for something and you share with them what you're up to, you'll end up with some distributors as well outside the chapter. You'll get referrals from people. But my experience has been many customers turn into distributors on their own. They just use it and they love it and they want to share it with their family or with their friends. Maybe they want their product for free. A way to get their product for free, get some income coming in to pay for their product. So I want to share with you a couple quick stories. So this is crazy. Some of you will relate to this because it happens to you all. How many of you have things that almost seem to be crazy coincidences that can't possibly be true? They happen to you every day. Raise your hand. Interesting. In this group, you're going to get a lot of that. And I'm going to share with you a theory that I have. I don't know if it's true or not. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do here is I'm going to give you a little quiz, but it's not a trick. There's no trick questions in this. So I'm not trying to trick you into anything. It's just literal. So I'd like you to draw 2 dots on your paper right next to each other, just 2 dots. And I want to ask you, how many connections are there between those 2 dots? Not a trick question. How many? 1. There's 1 connection between those 2 dots. So we'll go back to that in a minute. This stuff happens to me that I'm going to explain to you right now. It happens to me every other day. Things that aren't possible. So I'm at Phoenix College speaking to a group of young entrepreneurs. There's like 30 people in the room, and I'm standing in front of the room, and I'd just been on a trip. In fact, here's what happened. I flew in from Chicago to Arizona. I went to the bag belt, and my bag didn't come down the belt. And I waited, and it's Southwest Airlines, and that's very unusual. Your bags always come down the belt at Southwest Airlines. You just don't lose bags, but it never came down. And so I went and filled out the forms and left. 4 or 5 days later, my bag still hadn't shown up, and I wrote it off. I didn't think I'd ever see my bag again. Thursday night, that was on Sunday. Thursday night, I'm at Phoenix College, 30 students. I'm giving a little talk, and a guy that I haven't seen in a year is standing in the back doorway. His name's Joel. And I wave from the front of the room, like, hey, Joel. He goes, hey. And he comes over, and he goes, were you in New York last night? I go, no. He goes, that's really weird because I came in on Delta Airlines and I was standing by the bag belt and there were bags coming down and I noticed a bag and I saw your name on it. And it was from New York. It was the flight I was on. Like, what? Not only, there's thousands of bags. He sees the bag. He sees the name on the bag. How many people do that? Seriously. And then the next night, he's in my talk at Phoenix College. That is not possible. But it happens to me every other day. Every other day. So I went down to the airport, and sure enough, there was my bag. Everybody draw 3 dots. 1, 2, 3. Just like boom, boom, in a triangle. How many connections are there between those dots? 3. So 2 dots, 1 connection. 3 dots, 3 connections. So you added 1 more dot and added 2 more connections. Are you with me? 1 dot, 2 connections. Now everybody write 4. 1 in a square. 1, 2, 3, 4. So how many connections? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3 dots, 3 connections. 4 dots, 6 connections. We added 1 more dot and went from 3 connections to 6 connections. Do you see that? Added 1 more dot and went from 3 connections to 6 connections. Now everybody do 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And connect those and tell me how many connections there are. Thank you. Boy, you're fast. 10 connections. So we went from 4 dots, 6 connections, to 5 dots, one more, 10 connections. Every time you add a dot and you connect the dots, it exponentially increases the number of possible connections. Now imagine that we as people represent dots. And you wonder why people that have thousands of people in their Rolodex or in their contact manager that do a good job of connecting those people together have more opportunities. And that whole situation with Joel, the reason that stuff happens to me every other day is because those things are happening to me probably right here in this room. There's opportunities in this room that I haven't even discovered because we're in the room together. Some of you probably know my mom or my mom's mom, things like that happen. People that I've never met before. And there's opportunities that are created. The more people you add to your contact manager, the more possible opportunities you have for growing your organization. And it's exponential. It's exponential, the result of that. So that's why it's so important to connect the people in your organization, bring people together in your organization, introduce them to each other, but not just in your organization, outside your organization. Become a catalyst for connecting people. It's not linear. It's very multidimensional. Do you guys get that? So it's connecting the people in your organization with people they don't know that are not in your organization and getting as many of those lines going. That's what's going to create the biggest opportunities for you the quickest. And that's really where the networking, the opportunities that I've created through networking organizations. So I joined one chapter and I became a committed member of that chapter for 2 years. Every week I went to that chapter. Very, very rarely would I miss. And then what I would do is I would once in a while be a guest at another chapter. And then I encouraged my team, and I explained to them the importance of joining a chapter and the opportunities that would be created, and then I encouraged them to find a chapter. Most of you, in most of the cities you live, anywhere in the world, there's multiple chapters that don't have somebody from your opportunity. Now, very important, number one, you cannot talk about your opportunity in that meeting. And I've had people say, well, Jordan, why should I meet? Why should I even go if I can't talk about my opportunity? That's very short-sighted. Your opportunities extend far beyond whether you can talk about your opportunity in that meeting. It's meeting people. It's getting those connections going. Do you all get that? Okay, good. Thank you, Robert. Your talk, by the way, was awesome yesterday. Thank you. And thanks for, yeah. So the one person you want to meet, I'm going to give you like 3 little things. They seem like really little things, but they're huge opportunities if you embrace them. They're very simple. The first thing, and they're powerful things that you can do in any situation, not just in networking groups, you want to ask the event coordinator, who are the 3 most well-networked people in the group? Would you introduce me? I never do a cold call. I've never done a cold call in my career in network marketing. I've never done a cold call. I don't like sales. I don't like cold calling. But what I do is I meet somebody and I ask them to introduce me to people. Then it's not a cold call. When there's an introduction, they feel an immediate connection to you because they know that person. So I ask for introductions. And I don't even ask for an agenda. I just say, who do I need to meet? This is what I do. Who do I need to meet? And they introduce me to the 3 most well-networked people in the group. And then I schedule an appointment with them to get together with them just to get to know them better. I'd like to get together with you and get to know what you do and learn more about that. I do that every day. I'm looking for those opportunities to meet key influential people that are well-networked. We're in network marketing, so let's get with people that are well-networked because we can share opportunities with each other. So the 3 biggest mistakes that people make when they're networking is, number 1, oh gosh, it's so painful. You guys have experienced it. Some of you have experienced it and you do it. I saw some of you doing it here last night. It's terrible. Don't do this when you're networking. Number 1, biggest mistake, pitching your opportunity. Stop pitching your opportunity. It's kind of distasteful. It doesn't land very. How many of you have been at a networking meeting and somebody starts pitching your opportunity the first? Do you know what I'm talking about? It's just not comfortable, So hold on to that. Just hold that back. Get to know them. Ask them questions about them. Learn as much about, if they ask you about you, if you give them something, give them a phrase or a sentence and then go right back to them. And really learn as much about them as you can. When you walk away, you should feel like you really know them. Be really curious. Write the word down, curious. Be curious. Be interested. Write the word down, interested. Be interested. The first thing, don't pitch your opportunity. I was at a networking meeting, and this guy was with an electric power network marketing company, and I met him and shook his hand, and his name was Phil. I said, Phil, nice to meet you. He said, nice to meet you too. I said, Phil, what do you do? Oh my God, I shouldn't have said that. I mean, I was cornered for the next, just tell me a little bit, but don't pitch your whole opportunity. Okay. Number 2. Second thing that you don't need to do, because it's not a good use of your time, is just talking to everyone. When you go into a networking meeting, if there's 20 people there, or 50 or 100, pick 1 or 2, or at the very most 3 people and get to know them. You don't need to meet everybody, because why don't you need to meet everybody if you're meeting the right people? Why? Because they know the others, right? They'll introduce you to the others. So just pick 2 or 3 and get to know them really well. Get their contact information or their business card. You give them yours if you want to. I personally get people's business cards, but I typically don't give my card. I don't. Because what I do is then I'm proactive and I contact them. But that's not I wouldn't say that's a black or white thing. I just personally don't give out business cards typically. And then the third thing is in the B&I environment, it's really frowned upon to go from group to group to group to group. Like not joining a group, not committing and paying your $300. You can go as a guest 2 or 3 times before they ask for your money. You can visit 2 or 3 chapters, but the thing you don't want to do, and there's people that will do this and they will be banned from the group, is never become a member, just become a guest and go guest event, hopping across the country being guests at chapter meetings. You will get kicked out of it and you'll be banned forever from it. You don't want to do that. And they find out really fast because those networks are really, really tight. Are you with me? Okay, join one, get to know the people in the group. You can then become a guest, or not a guest, but what do they call them? What? Visitor. Not a visitor, that's not the word. A sub, thank you, a sub. You can become a sub when somebody else at another meeting can't make it. You can sub for them. And you get to talk about your product. But you want to join a chapter after you found the chapter that you want to join. 60-second commercial. I'm not going to get into a lot of specifics because most of this, my guess is that most of you can already do these pretty well. But there's 4 different ways of doing your 60-second commercial. And I recommend mixing it up. Don't do your 60-second commercial the same each time. Again, the reason I thought of, this is what I thought of. I thought 4,000 chapters. Now today we're in 1,000, my company is in 1,000 chapters out of the 4,000. That's leverage right there because every chapter, every week, there's somebody from my team giving a 60-second commercial to a group of anywhere from 10 to 50 people. Every single week in 1,000 chapters. And every week we have new customers and new distributors coming in as a result of that. You see that? Huge leverage. It's like having imagine this. It's like having presentations that are set up for you. You don't have to get a room. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to set anything up. It's already done. You just get your team to go. One person in each chapter. And like I say, there's not one single company that I know of that is saturated in B&I. In fact, most companies don't have anyone in B&I, Business Network International. You might have to make a few phone calls. If you go to bni.com, they list most of the chapters, but some of that information isn't completely up to date. It's a very, very powerful leverage strategy. 60-second commercial, 4 different ways to do it, and I mix it up. Some weeks I just explain what we do. I explain the product at the meeting. I just explain it. Some weeks I tell stories. Like I might have a really great success story, not an opportunity story, but a product story. And you guys get those through your company all the time and through the experiences you have with your distributors. When you get a powerful success story, share that at the meeting in 60 seconds. That's a powerful thing to do. Those success stories will carry you a long way in terms of creating those opportunities. The third thing I do is testimonials. Testimonials. And if you're a giver in the group, if you look for opportunities to refer business to other members of the group, guess what they're going to do? They're going to start referring people to you. Now, I know somebody that needs your product. And then they connect you with that person. They'll even connect you on a phone call. It's phenomenal. It's the easiest way to build a business, the quickest way. Some people look at this networking as old school, like the slow way. I'm going to tell you right now, I believe the slow way is the fast way. If you want to create a long-term sustainable residual income stream, the slow way is the fast way, in my opinion. Number 4, I love this one, is just show and tell. Show and tell. That's where you have your product and you pass it around. If you guys have a product that you can let people sample it, when you do your 60-second commercial, or when about once every few weeks you get to do a 20-minute presentation. Bring product for everyone so they can all try it, and all try it together. If it's that kind of product, if it's the ability to do that. Yes, sir. The problem is, I'd have to give you one that's not my company, but yeah, I mean, the testimonial? Well, let me just say this. I'm not going to get into specifics on that right now. That's all I'm going to say is that take a testimonial that's on one of your videos or a personal testimonial and just share it from your heart. That's it. Your company has testimonials. Share one. Me giving the testimonial for your company or anyone else's company isn't going to be the same as a real testimonial. Does that make sense? You guys all, raise your hand if you don't have a testimonial in your company. If you don't, there's a problem. Okay? Because your company should be filled with testimonials. Take one of those testimonials and share it with the group. You know, heck, when you do your 20-minute presentation, bring the person with you bring them with you. Let them give the testimonial versus being secondhand, or if you have a personal one. All right. Triple your opportunities for growth. This is extremely powerful. When you join your chapter, and most of the chapters have what they call a visitor host, right? Visitor host in there. Become a visitor host. Well, the visitor host meets every guest that comes to the meetings, and every week, depending on the meeting, there's anywhere from 3 to 10 or 15 guests. You're the person that greets the person. You're the person that gets their business card. It's an opportunity to connect with people. So what I would do is, there was a point where for about 6 months I was a visitor host, and I would get their card, and I'm very generous in terms of like looking for ways to provide value to them without expecting anything in return. These cards, now it's very challenging for me to be a member of a chapter right now because I'm in a different city every 4 days. But when I was getting started for the first few years, for the first 3 years, I was at one chapter for 3 years, 2.5 years, and the next chapter for about a year. And then I started traveling a lot more. But I would get people's business cards, and sometimes I'd send them a handwritten note, and I'd put a little Starbucks card in there saying, thanks for coming to the meeting. We hope you'd choose to join our chapter. We'd love to have you. Stuff like that. Just examples. I'll give you some. This was the 702 helicopters, the 2 flight instructors and the guy that owns the school, guy and his wife that own the school. But these are the kinds of cards that I would get at a meeting. Spring Preserves. This lady runs the Spring Preserves here in Vegas. And these are people that this is a neighbor of mine, John Travis. He's involved with an organization called Vistage. Ferrara Cafe in New York City. I met the owner there. I just introduced myself, and I don't talk about my business. This is a guy that sold me a car. This guy, I went into his cigar place in Park Forest, Illinois. He owns the cigar place. And I just get his card, and I shake his hand, and I say, how long have you had this place? Wow, nice place. Tell me more about it. How did you get it started? How long have you had it? And how'd you get into the cigar business? You know what I'm saying? Just creating those connections. So yeah, so that's kind of how I start. And then I get to know the people, and I develop that rapport. It sounds pretty easy, doesn't it? Develop the rapport, and then I say, just like the Best Buy, I say, remember the come here, I want to show you something? I call them on the phone, and I say, would you mind if I shared something with you and just kind of get your thoughts on it? A business idea? Yeah, sure. And I do ask a few questions and things like that. Tim's training is like phenomenal. Is Tim here right now? I don't think he is. Is he? No? What did you guys think of Tim's training last night? Man. I'd forgotten how good he was. I mean, he is so good. And I remember seeing him. I haven't seen Tim in 13 years, but I still consider him a close friend because he's just such a cool guy, And I felt like I hadn't seen him. I felt like it was yesterday that I saw the guy. Did you have a question, Jules?
Yeah. I just wanted you to clarify yesterday when you were telling your helicopter story, and you were condensing it. So you said, you took that helicopter ride, and then you ended up signing him up. I heard some people thinking that you recruited him on the spot.
No, well, I didn't sign him up in the helicopter while I was trying to hover. Oh, sorry. I talked about signing up the people that own the helicopter school, but I didn't talk about how that happened and when I signed. Did I sign them up on the spot, or did I sign them up later? I actually signed them up 2 days ago in the school itself. While we were flying, that was not a great time to pull out the computer and try and, take care of business. But we talked, because we literally were together for many, many, many hours over a 3-day period flying in this helicopter, right? And so across the country. So he asked me a lot of questions. I answered his questions. I helped him to kind of envision some possibilities and some opportunities, and he started brainstorming a little bit. And then when we landed, he asked for some more information, and so I gave him our company magazine. He read through that. His wife read through it. His wife signed up for our product to try the product, and for 3 days she used it, and she loved it. And then we signed him up a couple of days ago. So I haven't even trained him yet. I mean, I just literally signed him up and left, so because I was getting ready to do this stuff. So. Okay, choosing the right group. I look for groups that have 30 to 50 members if possible. That's number one, 30 to 50 members. Less than that, there's just not as much activity. The second thing, ideally 30 to 50. Second thing, while you're there as a guest, make sure there's lots of referrals. Like people are bringing referrals and there's guests in the room. There's referrals being passed between the members and there's guests in the room. That means there's a lot of activity and life in the group. You want to do that. You want to make sure they have a giving philosophy. You want to make sure that the philosophy of the group, because there's other groups besides BNI, and some of them are more giving than others, but you want to kind of get that sense that it's an organization that really cares about, they're connected and they care about each other. And number 4, I mentioned this, lots of guests, 5 to 10 guests per meeting. So number 1, 30 to 50 members. Number 2, lots of referrals. Number 3, a giving philosophy. And number 4, lots of guests. The difference between referrals and guests is referrals means that the members are passing referrals back and forth to each other. Guests are people that are visiting the chapter for the first time. If there's no guests there, I'd come one more time, and if there's no guests or 1 or 2, then I'd join another chapter. You want one where there's a lot of guests there. Okay. The most important question that you can ask yourself in networking, I believe, is who does business, write this down, who does business with people who would do business with you? Who does business with people who would do business with you? So you want to meet those people. Think about, we don't have time to get into all the detail of this, but what I like to think about is who are the people in life that do business with the people that would do business with you? You want to meet those people. That almost can become a goal. And if you meet those people, that's an opportunity because they're connected with lots of people. I'm talking about ways to accelerate the growth of your group, because some people work their business for 3 years and they get incremental growth, a little bit of growth. Some people get exponential growth. Why is that? It's because who they're meeting. It's the connections they make along the way. Rules for networking. I'm going to go through these very rapidly. Number 1. Oh man, I've seen network marketers be so nasty. Most of you aren't. Most of you are really nice people. But number 1, be kind. Be kind. Even if somebody's not interested in your business, don't make them wrong. Don't badmouth them. Don't make them feel like they're stupid for not doing it. Because most of those people, it's just the timing is off. So be nice to people. Be respectful of wherever they are. Acknowledge wherever they are. If somebody says, I don't have the money right now, say, I can understand that. Man, I was that way for a long time. I didn't have the money. Acknowledge that. And be respectful. They say, I just can't do it right now. I really want to do it, but I can't do it right now. Well, when do you think you might be able to do it? Well, I'll be able to do it in 6 months. Oh, 6 months? What, are you stupid? No, I don't do that. All right, I don't do that. Number 2, be generous. Number 2, be generous. I try not to make people wrong. Number 2, so what I do is I look for opportunities to over-tip a little bit. Look for opportunities where you wouldn't normally tip to give somebody a little tip. What you send out comes back. Right? Yeah, so you want to, yeah. And you know what? Send somebody a handwritten note with a Starbucks card telling them thank you for just looking at your opportunity. Just for looking. Not for even the ones that aren't interested. What's going to happen? Number 3, didn't mean to do that. Be patient. Be patient. People are not on your schedule. They're on their own. Number 4, be interested. We talked about that. Number 5, be memorable. Do little things that are going to cause them to like. There's some people in this room that can do really crazy tricks with their tongue. That's not what I'm talking about, really. All right, but you want to do some things that will allow you to be a little bit memorable. You know who you are. I've just seen it. That's all. I've just seen it. And the last thing is, if you want to make it happen, schedule it. And I want to talk about this for just a second. This was a huge defining moment in my network marketing career. I'd been in 11 companies in 10 years, never signed anybody up. I would talk to 2 or 3 people. They would be negative. They'd give me a reason why it wouldn't work, or only the people at the top make money, or it's a pyramid. I would get down, and I would quit. And I did that over and over again with many, many different companies. I found out something that when I got that I just needed to put my blinders on and focus and start scheduling appointments with people, get my calendar full. I can tell somebody when they come to me and they say they're not having the success they want, if I say to them, open your calendar, let me see your calendar, their calendar is empty. And it's always empty. You want to get your business going for the next 2 to 3 years, fill your calendar with appointments to meet with people one-on-one, 2-on-1, your opportunity meeting, conference calls, getting guests on conference calls, following up. Fill your training, fill your calendar during the time that you're scheduled to work your business. If you're working your business 4 hours a day, and you tell me you're working 4 hours a day, and I look at your calendar, I should see appointments in every single minute of those 4 hours. That's working your business. Now, how do you get the beach money? You do that long enough until there's leaders in your organization that don't even know who you are, and they're building it for themselves, not for you. You do that long enough, however long that takes. It might be a year. For some of you, it might be 5 years. But at some point, there were other people that will grab the baton and run with it. In the beginning, it's all you. Your check is about you in the beginning. But ultimately, you'll have people. But if you're having to do everything, in the beginning, you will have to do everything. But if your business is only at arm's reach, then you're going to be limited. And if you have to have your hand in everything, so you're looking for people that will do it on their own. And you plug them into the system. So if you want to make it happen, schedule your calendar. I want to close with a quick story, and then I just really need to quick talk to you about beach money. Eric, do I have 5 minutes? Okay. So in the 90s, early 90s, I was driving this beat-up old Jeep Wrangler, and I was driving down Alma School Road in Mesa, Arizona, and a girl pulled out in front of me, and there was no way that I could stop, and I hit her. She was 17 years old. She didn't have a driver's license. Nobody was hurt, thank God. It was a borrowed car, and smashed the front end of my Jeep. And, we went our separate ways, and then I got on the freeway that night, and I had latched down the hood. Well, the latches were broken in the crash, and I didn't know that. And as I was driving, going 60 miles an hour, my hood of my Wrangler started to rattle real quick, and then went wham and hit the windshield, and the whole windshield shattered. So I got the hood up like this, the windshield shattered, it didn't fall out, and I can't see a thing at night, and there's cars around me going 60 miles an hour. I'm like, whoa, and it freaked me out. I had to stop in the middle of the freeway, make my way out to because the hood didn't go down, make my way off to the side of the road, got to the side of the road, borrowed some rope from somebody, tied it down. No, the windshield was completely shattered. And here's what I noticed, that when I drove and I focused beyond the cracks on the windshield that I could see, it's not real safe. In fact, one time a cop pulled up behind me, and I had the bikini top on the Jeep, and he was looking behind me. I could see him kind of going like this. And he was looking, he could see that my windshield, it was behind me, he could see my windshield was shattered, and he couldn't see through my windshield, and he figured if he couldn't see through it, I probably couldn't see through it either, so he pulled me off the road. I had a $75 deductible, and I got 2 tickets because I couldn't afford the $75 deductible back then to pay to fix the Jeep, to fix the windshield. So I pulled over twice, but what I would do is I'd squint, and I could see beyond the cracks in the windshield. Now, if I focused on the glass, I couldn't see the road. But if I focused beyond the glass, I could see. And it was not real safe, but I could do it. I could make my way through it. Some of you, you've got lots of cracks in your windshield right now, and you're focusing on those. And that's the reason why your business is growing. Until you can afford to replace your windshield, you need to learn to focus on the road ahead, your dreams, your future. That's where your opportunity is. And all of us have those things in the beginning. We all have those things. That's why we're here. That's why you're in this room, is because we have cracks on the windshield that are keeping us from having the things that we say we want in our lives. Yes, sir. Yeah, what do you, if somebody, in a networking group, if somebody asks you what you do, if somebody asks you what you do in a networking group, how do you answer that? In a networking group, I only talk about my product. So I tell, but I'm only going to give them maybe 1 minute, if that. I'll say I'm a networker. I'm a networker. I connect people, and we represent a product that helps people in business. That's what I say. Very brief. That's it. That's all. If he asks more questions, I'll say, we'll get together. We'll set up a time, and we'll get together, and I'll explain everything. But that's how I can push that aside. Then I ask him more questions about them. Thanks for the question. Great question. We have a product that helps business people. That's what I say. Yeah. So, oh, well, now I got my time. Oh, good, cool. I didn't even see that there. All right, so I want to talk for just a minute about Beach Money. I wrote Beach Money not to make money. 100% of the profits, as you know, go to charity. There's an organization called Kiva, Kiva.org. One of the people that started it is a lady named Jessica Jackley, and if you want to be moved, in a 5-minute video, if you want to be moved like you've never been moved before, go to YouTube and Google, or go to YouTube and search for Jessica Jackley TED, T-E-D. It's a TED conference, and she talks about how she founded Kiva. Oh my God, it's an unbelievable video. One of the best videos I've ever seen. TED, Jessica Jackley. Kiva does microfinancing loans all over the world to entrepreneurs that are looking to start businesses in third world countries primarily. We've helped, right now, we've got almost $10,000 a month from the sale of Beach Money going to Kiva, and that's loan funds that are loaned out to entrepreneurs, $50 to $500, so that they can start a shoe stand or buy a truck so they can make deliveries, or buy a cow or buy a sewing machine, and then they start the business and they pay the money back. My goal is to sell 1 million copies of Beach Money. I've sold about 250,000 copies of Beach Money. My goal is to sell 1 million copies. That will give us a $6 million revolving fund of loan opportunities where you loan it out, get it back, loan it out, get it back, loan it out, get it back. And so most of you should have gotten a free copy of the book. If you like the book and you're inspired by it and you think it helps people, then please help me by referring it to your team. They can go to beachmoney.com and buy it. There are no bulk discounts because the money is being donated. There's no bulk discounts. It's whatever it is, $14.95 a book. And it's helping a great cause. And if you can help me meet my goal of 1 million books, I will be forever grateful. And thank you. And we'll see you guys later on today. Bye-bye.